Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Sayyid Akif Shah, lecturer finance at Institute of Business Studies, Kohat University of Science and Technology. The title of this course is Financial Management, and the course code for this subject is BS 251. This is lecture number 14, and the topic under the discussion of lecture 14 is valuation of zero coupon bond and handling the semi-annual compounding. The outline of this lecture consists of the three main agenda points. Number first is to know about what is zero coupon bond. Secondly, to know about how to value a zero coupon bond, or what is the procedure of valuing a zero coupon bond. Thirdly, how to handle semi-annual compounding and how to value a coupon paying bond which does pay its coupon semi-annually rather than annually. By semi-annually we means that such bond pays out its coupon rate after each 6 months of completion. Let us discuss the different type of example, out of which one is known as a zero coupon bond. Now, what is a zero coupon bond? A zero coupon bond is a bond, it's a security instrument that pays no interest but sells at a deep discount from its face value. Now the question arises that why would an investor place or deposit its precious dollars or money into such kind of instrument that pays out nothing to the investor? So the definition itself explains that such kind of bond sells at a deep discount from its face value. Now let's suppose the face value of zero coupon bond is $1,000 in the United States or in any other country. And if the issuer of this bond sell out this zero coupon bond at a deep discount, by deep discount means that at a price quite lower than the face value. Like for example, if the face value is $1,000 and issuer of this bond sell out this bond at a price of, let's say, $60, then there is a huge discount which is $940, which is a massive amount reduction in the face value. So if certain investor is going to invest in this zero coupon bond whose face value is $1,000 and its maturity is, let's suppose, 10 years, then at the completion of 10th year, the holder of this bond who initially purchased this bond at a price of $60 will present it to the issuer, and the issuer is required to pay out $1,000 to this investor. So the resultant profit after 10 years to this investor will be $940. So this is the reason why an investor is going to invest its money in the zero coupon bond. Another competitive advantage is until and unless you realize your profit, you are not going to pay a single penny as tax. When the day you are going to realize the profit or capital gain or the coupon earning, that specific day you are going to pay out tax to the government. So there are certain investors who are in the larger tax brackets already because of their operations. So under such circumstances, it depends upon the investor attitudes towards risk. And in order to avoid the current level or current payment of the tax by the investor, such investors are interested to invest their money in the zero coupon bond. So it provides compensation to the investor in the form of price appreciation. As already explained, that the investor has purchased this bond on $60 and sell out back to the issuer at the maturity time by its face value and hence realize $940. Now, how to value such kind of bond and how to find out their intrinsic value at the time investor is looking to invest their money in. The formula for calculating the valuation or formula for valuing such kind of bond is equal to V is equal to MV. MV represents the maturity value, which is the face value at the completion of maturity time period, divided by 1 plus KD. KD as previously discussed in my previous lecture. If you don't know, you can go back, listen to lecture number 13 first and then this lecture. So KD represents the discount rate and N represents the number of time period this bond is available in the market and purchased by the investor, and this is the number of time period. Let's suppose 10 years the investor is holding this bond. After 10 years this bond will mature and the maturity value will be realized by the investor. So another way around, if you don't like to use a direct formula, so another way around you can take help from the present value interest factor table by discounting or multiplying the maturity value with the factor in that particular table. How to do that? Let's take an example. Zero coupon bond example. Bond Z, representing the zero coupon bond, has a 1000 face value. Its maturity value or face value is $1,000 and the time to mature this bond is 30 years. The life of this bond is 30 years. It means that the investor who is going to purchase this bond will have to wait for the 30 years to realize $1,000, which is maturity value. However, if during this time period the investor would like to withdraw or take out its money, then the investor can sell out this bond to another investor. The appropriate discount rate in the data is 10%, and the question asks you to calculate the value of this zero coupon bond. So we have two methods, either to use formula or another way around we can directly multiply the face value or maturity value with the present value interest factor for 10%, 30 years. So I assume that you have listened to the time value of money lectures and quite well enough and acquainted with the knowledge of discounting and calculating the present values. Therefore, I will directly explain that value is equal to maturity value $1,000, which is face value in this case, multiply by present value interest factor for 10% and 30 years. How to check out this factor? You can go to the table of present value interest factor. There will be certain number of percentages available horizontally and the number of time periods may be mentioned vertically. So you have to find out 10% column and then 30th row, and this particular intersection will give you the relevant factor in the table by 0.057. So now you can simply multiply this with the maturity value and the resultant value of this zero coupon bond is $57. We can also say that the intrinsic value of this zero coupon bond is $57. Now it's time to take the decision. If somebody is selling this zero coupon bond at a price equal to $57, then you are indifferent that either to purchase or not to purchase. However, if you are interested to invest your money in a positively earning projects or investment opportunity, you can take decision to invest your money in this bond. If you want to appreciate your total number of dollars over the period of time. Let's take out another example. If somebody is selling this bond at a price equal to $50, then as an investor, you should purchase this zero coupon bond because the actual value of this bond is $57. However, the individual is might be is not well aware of the intrinsic value, so therefore he is offering it on $50. So as an investor, one should purchase this zero coupon bond and subsequently can sell out this bond on $57 and hence immediately can realize $7 profit if he or she is not going to hold this bond for a number of years. However, if another individual who is going to sell out this bond on $60, where the intrinsic value is telling us that its original value is only $57, therefore one should not purchase it because it is overpriced. Let's discuss another phenomena, because most of the bond in the United States or around the globe pays interest twice a year, that is semi-annually. The issuer of bond pay out its coupon rate. So what kind of adjustments needs to be done before valuing such bonds? So adjustments are, like once again, let me tell you that certain bonds are there, certain coupon paying bonds are there in the United States and around the globe that pays out coupon rate twice a year. It means that at the completion of 6 months, the company or the government or any issuer of this bond is going to pay out coupon to the investor. And secondly, at the end of year, that is at the completion of the next 6 years, once again the company or the government is going to pay out the coupon rate to the investor. So when biannually certain issuer is going to pay out coupon to the investor, in that scenario, in that case, how to do valuation of certain bonds will be discussed shortly. So certain adjustments needs to be done for valuing such kind of coupon paying bonds. In this case, first of all, divide the discount rate by 2. Secondly, you have to multiply the number of time periods by 2. And thirdly, divide the coupon rate by 2. How to do that? So a non-zero coupon paying adjusted for semi-annual compounding in this fashion. The formula for calculating or finding the value of such bonds is equal to divide the coupon payment by 2, since we are going to pay out semi-annual compounding or semi-annual interest is going to be paid out by the issuer of this bond. So therefore, the annual coupon payment will be divided by 2 and whole will be divided by 1 plus KD. It means that discount rate will also be divided by 2. In the similar fashion, the next year coupon rate will be divided by 2 and the discount rate will also be divided by 2, so on and so forth for the number of time periods. Let's suppose if the time to mature this bond is 10 years, then finally the maturity value will be discounted by n multiplied by 10. It means that the raised to the power in this final version or final expression will be 20. Let's take an example. So if we sum up this formula, so the summation will start t from 1 to the up to n, not up to the n, but in this case, since this is a semi-annual compounding, so therefore we have to multiply it with 2. So the overall summation will lead towards 20 number of times. In this case, interest or a coupon divided by 2, KD divided by 2 whole raised to the power T. So this is our first expression in sum. And definitely at the time of maturity, once again, we are going to realize the face value or the maturity value, which needs to be discounted as well at the time 0 or time 1 in order to find out the value. And as we know, this is only one time, so 1 plus KD divided by 2. Let's suppose the discount rate is 10%, so 10 divided by 2 will lead towards 5, and 2 multiplied by 10 is equal to 20 number of time period. So let's take an example to discuss this non-zero coupon paying bond. Another way around, you can also use a direct formula of present value interest factor for annuity by making certain adjustment to the coupon rate as done over here, and as well as for the discount rate and number of time periods. Once again, we are taking out the present value interest factor, not an annuity, because the maturity value or the face value realized by the investor will only be single amount, a single time. Here is an example of a bond C that pays out semi-annual compounding or semi-annual coupon payment. Bond C has 1000 face value and provides 8% annual coupon. So be careful while you are reading the question. Bond C has 1000 face value and it provides 8% annual coupon for next 15 years. But semi-annually, this firm or the issuer of this bond is going to pay out its coupon rate semi-annually. It means twice in a year. The appropriate discount is 10%, which is an annual rate, and the question asks us to calculate the value of this bond. So certain adjustment needs to be done. First of all, calculate the coupon rate by multiplying the face value with 8%, and it gives you $80 of coupon payment. The first adjustment was to divide I by 2. So 80 divided by 2, which is coupon payment, will lead towards $40 of semi-annual payment. First adjustment. Secondly, N needs to be multiplied by 2. Second adjustment. Over here, N is 15 years, needs to be multiplied by 2, and it will give us 30 number of time periods. Similarly, the discount rate, which is KD divided by 2, will lead towards 10 divided by 2, and it is 5% in this case. So this adjustment needs to be done before valuing this bond C. Let me remove and clear the page. So the valuation, we have obtained and opted for the table method, that is value is equal to semi-annual compounding, which is I divided by 2. I in our case, as I have calculated previously, was $80. 80 divided by 2 gave us $40. And as we know that we are going to receive this $40 at the end of each 6 months, so therefore it is present value interest factor for annuity case. Discount rate, which was divided by KD divided by 2, therefore it is 5%, and N multiplied by 2, which is 30 number of time period. So now we can see in the table 4 the factor for present value interest factor for annuity at 5%, and 30th year is 15.37. And similarly for maturity value, as this is not going to be received at the end of each 6 months or at the end of each year, so therefore it will be discounted only one time by applying present value interest factor table directly at 5% 30 year. and the factor in table 2 is 0.231. So now we can multiply and use this simple arithmetic operation, and we come up with the final value of this non-zero coupon paying bond, which pays out coupon semi-annually, and its value is $845.92. Dear student, if you're not interested to use this tabulated method, so you can directly use this formula rather than to use the table method by inserting the relevant amounts for 30 time periods. This is quite, it will make a quite messy calculation if you sum up first expression, second, third, fourth, so on and so forth up to 30th number of time period. So it will take too much time from you. This is the reason we have selected the table method to do this, to solve this problem easily. Now it's time to make decision from the perspective of the investor. As we knew that the value for this bond C, a non-zero coupon paying bond that pays out coupon semi-annually, its value is $845.92. If somebody is selling out this bond C at this price of $845, you should purchase it. If someone is selling this bond at a price in excess to its intrinsic value, let's suppose if somebody is selling this bond at $860, then as an investor you should consider this investment as overpriced security. So therefore the decision of the investor will be not to purchase this bond on $860. However, let's suppose if some investor is unaware from the intrinsic value of this bond and is selling out this bond at a price of $810. So in this case, you should go for the purchase, you should go for this investment opportunity, because you can simply purchase this bond C at a price of $810, and at the very same time you can sell out on this original intrinsic value and can realize your $35.92 within no time. So this was all about how to do and calculate or value the non-zero coupon paying bond that pays out coupon semi-annually. Thank you very much for listening to this lecture. If you have any question, feel free to post them on KCMS, or another way around, you can also email me on my official email address with your queries, and I'll be happy to answer your question. Good luck for the day. Allah Hafiz.